Hey guys, it's Chris back again with yet another top 10 recommendations video. And today the genre is going to be character or stylish action games. Some of these ones kind of meld the genres together of, stylish action, adventure game, beat 'em up. So I had a little bit trouble picking these, but I think you'll like the list I've come up with. So let's get it started. The first one, let's start with the one that I guess kind of started the genre, and that is Devil May Cry 1. Now, I know the Berserk game on PS2 technically did it first, but this really turned that gameplay style into an actual quality game. And the thing I like about Devil May Cry 1 is the fact that it's not straight up action. Its DNA started as the original version of Resident Evil 4. So you can see remnants of that in the environmental design, the kind of more slow-paced gameplay, which I do like quite a bit. The action games that kind of devolve into just square rooms or arenas to fight enemy or boss after boss, it gets kind of boring. Where this actually had the well-designed levels, it looks like areas that could have been in a Resident Evil game. You know, the castle looks a lot like a Resident Evil mansion. The way the camera angles are is kind of nice. The way you hold the R trigger to aim and then shoot is very reminiscent of Resident Evil. So it's got a little bit of horror element to it as well, which I feel like the later games didn't really delve into much. So yeah, this one had very cool atmosphere. Dante was a little bit of a sassy character, but he was nowhere near what he became later on in the series. But yeah, I really wish they would do another, either a Devil May Cry in this style of the first game, or, like a spiritual successor, more with that survival horror mixed with action. Which, who knows, maybe that Slitterhead game that's coming out soon is a mix of horror and action, which it kind of looks like it is, but I don't think it'll be like Devil May Cry, but hey, it'd be cool if they continued more of this style. Alright, let's see. I guess we'll switch up to... Let's do this one next. This is Onimusha 3. What is it called? Oh yeah, the Demon Siege is the subtitle, or Demon Siege rather. But this was a hard one to choose because I like all the Onimusha games in their own way. I really like Onimusha 1 and 2 for the fact that they play more like a Resident Evil game. You know, they got the tank controls, they got the pre-rendered backgrounds with 3D character models on top, and they're a bit more slow-paced, whereas this is a full 3D game. It still has, the sort of preset Resident Evil-like angles, but the full 3D really is more advanced in this one. You play as two characters, as you see on the cover. It's an interesting storyline. You play as this character, who's played by the actor Jean Reno, but unfortunately he only has voice acting in the intro, and Samanosuke as well. But Jean Reno's character goes back in time to ancient Japan, whereas Samanosuke goes forward in time to Paris being attacked by the demons. So it's an interesting concept. It's kind of a fish out of water type of story, which I always like with various media, But yeah, this definitely perfected the formula of Onimusha 1 and 2. Added a lot more length and depth to the game, which I really liked. But I think I like the setting of Onimusha 1 and 2 more. It's just that this is just the better game, so I had to pick it. But you do get kind of that Onimusha 1 and 2 feel with Jean Reno's character, because he's in ancient Japan, obviously. So yeah, I would highly recommend this one. I think sadly, it's still just exclusive to the PS2, and I think there's a PC port as well, but I don't know how hard that is to run. Maybe it has a GOG version as well. But yeah, that one's very cool. Next up, go with this series, why not? And that is Beautiful Joe. And as you can see, I've got the PS2 version of Beautiful Joe 1 and Beautiful Joe 2 on GameCube. However, Beautiful Joe 1 is definitely my favorite of the 3 mainline games. There's also a Nintendo DS kind of spin-off. And then there's a party fighter with these characters as well, but that's not really a mainline game. But yeah, 1 really started it all. It had the nice cel-shaded graphics, which I like. Granted, it wasn't the first game to do cel shading, but it really popularized it again after I think Jet Set Radio and another game did it before this. But it's a 2D game, more like 2.5D. It's a bit of a beat 'em up, but to me, it's not a full-on beat 'em up because it has the adventure elements, it has the stylish action, and it's only 1 player. To me, a beat 'em up has to have 2-player co-op at least. But yeah, the style is cool. It's kind of like a nerdy character that worships the Japanese superheroes, you know, like the ones that fight the giant monsters like Ultraman and stuff. And he eventually becomes one himself and gets all the superpowers to slow down time, to zoom in the screen like you're in a film or something. So it has a lot of style to it that's meant to make it look like a film. And the slow-mo and the zoom and the fast-forward stuff, powers like that, really cement that style. It's very cool. It's used for the combat. It's used for the puzzle solving. I really like it. I got this PS2 version as well, simply because I don't know if you'll be able to, if it'll work properly, but you can play as Dante right there, which is really cool for a PlayStation exclusive. However, the GameCube version looks slightly better because this is interlaced only, whereas the GameCube version supports 480p progressive scan. But very neat version to have as well, and I just have part 2 on GameCube because there's not much reason to get the PS2 version of this. There's no real extras, but this one is very good, don't get me wrong, but it's just that the first game is so much better. But I would highly recommend playing the second game as well. Alright, next up, let's do this game, and we'll show first the PS3 version of Metal Gear Rising. Yes, and I also got the Xbox version later on, and this is the steelbook for it if you want to see how that looks. I love this steelbook, such an awesome design. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. It was kind of in development hell because I guess Kojima's team couldn't figure out how to mesh the stealth gameplay with like a stylish action game for Raiden. So they handed it over to Platinum Games, and they kind of straightened it out, I think, within like a year or 2 years, something like that. It's very good for the amount of time they had to develop this. I wish they were given more time because it could have been even better. But they did release 2 DLCs for this game, which I do have on both versions. I didn't pay for it, luckily. It wasn't free at first, but I waited, and they eventually became free. And I think the 360 version is still backwards compatible on the Xbox Series. So you should be able to download the DLC for this one still. I'm not sure if you can still get the DLC on PS3. I can't remember, but luckily I have all that. You know, it takes Raiden and it mixes him kind of doing stealth very lightly with more high-speed action. You know, you can slice everything apart. The enemies, the environment, except for, you know, the big buildings you can't slice apart, but it's very stylish, has great music. I bought the collector's edition of this one originally, which I do have an unboxing of, so if you want to see that, check out the link down below. And I also did a vocal cover of one of the songs, which I will also link down below. I was just a really big fan of this game, and obviously the series as well, so I had to put it on the list. I think originally this Xbox 360 version ran slightly better than the PS3, especially now that it's on the Series X. But this PS3 version had better bit rate on the cutscenes because they're all like pre-rendered video. so it kind of has more like Blu-ray quality video, whereas this kind of uses BINC video, which looks really blocky. Including the PC version uses that same BINC video that this uses. I'm not sure if it ever got an upgrade. Like I think Final Fantasy 13 on PC eventually got a fan patch or something to put the PS3 cutscenes in. But yeah, really great game. It's a shame they never really continued it because I think maybe like a year or two after this came out, Konami put out a survey of what fans wanted in a sequel to this. I filled it out. I was like hoping they would make a sequel, and then they just never did. So quite unfortunate. I'm still hoping this gets ported to the Metal Gear Solid Volume 2 collection or whatever. But who knows if they will, or if they'll just completely fuck up the port, because they fucked up a lot about the Volume 1 collection. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this. Very great game. Alright, let's go back to the Devil May Cry series, and another favorite of mine is Devil May Cry 3, the special edition here specifically. And this is also on Switch as an even more improved version. But this is starring the younger Dante, so it's before the first game, and this is when they really started to make his personality more like sassy and wisecracking. Like I said, in the previous game, he did that a little bit, but in this, they really ramped it up to kind of what you know Dante today as. The Switch version of this is a little bit better because it adds like real-time style changing, kind of like the newer Devil May Cry 4 and 5 had for Dante. In this version on PS2, you have to go back to the actual statues in order to change your style out, which makes it so the combat is a little less complex. But still, this PS2 version is a good version, but sadly that Switch version is digital only. Like, I wish they would do a physical copy of the Switch build of the game, but who knows if they ever will. But yeah, highly recommend this. I liked the story and the setting. I think the environments were slightly weaker than Devil May Cry 1, but I think this game still had better environments than Devil May Cry 4, or maybe even 5. And this special edition, I think it lets you play as... Oh, it only lets you play as Virgil. I thought it let you play as the girls, but yeah, this one adds Virgil as the playable character. But yeah, highly recommend. Alright. Let's do this one next. Because this is one I haven't actually beaten because it's so freaking hard. But Godhand, it's got to be recognized as the great game that it is. I like the style of it. It's kind of like... It's almost like a Mad Max type of post-apocalypse world, but it also has almost like a spaghetti western style, at least in the first stage. You start in kind of like a desert town almost, but it's very over-the-top, goofy humor, kind of what, you know, a lot of these stylish action games go for. I like the moveset. I like that it's almost like a beat 'em up, but it's still also like a character action game as well. The graphics are a little bit weak, but it doesn't really hinder the enjoyment of the game too much. I think let's see. I think Shinji Mikami and Hideki Kamiya might have worked on this. I'm not sure about Kamiya, but I'm pretty sure Shinji Mikami did. But yeah, it's very fun. I like that you can both level up your character and then get leveled down as well if you play worse. It's got like a special move that's like a slot roulette that you select one of his super moves with. That's pretty cool. It's very hardcore difficulty. Like, you really gotta like sparingly use the health recharge items in the levels. You gotta grab the melee weapons that you find to give you an advantage over the enemies. It has some cool environment destruction as well. Like, you can smack them into parts of buildings to break them apart and stuff. Very cool, but like I said, it's very hard. Like, sometimes you'll kill an enemy and then a demon will sprout out of him, and the demon is super hard and can kill you really quick if you don't dodge. So I think I did play this on my channel, so if I have that video, I'll link it down below as well. But I highly recommend this one if you can find it, or just emulate it, honestly. Very good. Alright. Let's just go with this game to mix it up. And that is Ninja Gaiden Black. Yes, not Sigma, not Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden Black. Because to me, this is the best balance of between Ninja Gaiden 1 Vanilla and Ninja Gaiden Sigma later. Ninja Gaiden Sigma kind of got rid of a lot of the adventure elements and puzzle solving that this game had. So that's one reason I prefer this. Obviously, it's, you know, they're taking the 2D Ninja Gaiden series and moving it into 3D. I think they did a pretty good job, even though the gameplay is kind of like completely different from the 2D Ninja Gaiden games. But what they made is exceptional. It's one of the best, might be the best stylish action game ever made, to be honest. It's a little more simple than like Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3 as far as the mechanics, but everything is just so tightly balanced. The movement is fluid, the move set is fluid, the difficulty is perfectly balanced. I think I've beaten this even on the Master Ninja difficulty, and while it was hard, it felt like a fair difficulty. But yeah, very good game. I would highly recommend this version, especially since you can play it on the Series X in 4K, and it looks glorious like that. I just wish they would have had the auto HDR as well, because that would have looked even better. Alright. We'll go back to the Devil May Cry series really quick to finish it out. And that is, of course, Devil May Cry 5, specifically the Special Edition version, because this really improves everything about the original, like PS4 and Xbox One release. I did originally buy the Special Edition on Xbox, but I eventually got it on PS4 as well, because the 120 Hertz mode runs a little bit better on PS5, and that mode is really impressive. Like, this kind of gameplay just benefits so much from the 120 FPS. Granted, it's like between 90 and like 110 FPS, but it's still fluid enough to make a difference. But yeah, this game really, it brought everything from Devil May Cry 3 and 4 into one game and improved on it quite a bit, especially Nero's gameplay. Like, Nero was cool in Devil May Cry 4, but his moveset was pretty limited compared to Dante. Giving him the changeable, whatever they're called, devil arms or whatever, those really added the depth that it needed. And I think they added quite a bit to his moveset as well. And the Special Edition lets you play as Virgil as well. And it adds like ray tracing support, which is kind of cool, but it makes it run kind of bad unless you use the 1080p mode. But one thing I do like about Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition is it lets you play as the two ladies as well, Trish and Lady, which is very cool because they're neat characters. But yeah, this also has that V character, which he kind of commands, like the shadow, whatever animal, dog, whatever demon thing. I don't like his gameplay quite as much because he's more uninvolved with the combat as he lets his little pet do all the work. But the Nero and the Dante gameplay in this is very nice. I like the way the cutscenes look. And yeah, it's just a great game, great package overall. Highly recommend that one. And then we'll switch over to what the Devil May Cry creator made after Devil May Cry 1. Hideki Kamiya made or directed Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3. Though I think Bayonetta 2 here is the best one. You can see I double dipped on the Switch version as well. But yeah, I mean, Bayonetta 1 is cool, but this really just added more polish, I feel, and a little bit more fleshed out. I still don't think this series is as good as Devil May Cry, but it's nearly as good. Now, granted, Bayonetta 3 was a disaster in my opinion. It runs like shit. The world is ugly. It's too big. It's just... this is really the perfection of the formula. But yeah, you know, it's just like what some people say is a sexy female character, but not really into that. boss babe type of female character. But she's okay, honestly. It's just I don't get the fucking simping for fictional characters. I just do like that the sexualization of her kind of triggers the leftists. So that's one good thing about it. But yeah, it's good. It's a little bit more casual than probably Devil May Cry 3, but it's fun enough, so I'd recommend it. 1 is okay as well. It's just, it's not quite as good as 2. All right, I think that this should be the last one then. And that is a more unique one called Mad World. And this is another one that it kind of melds genres of beat 'em up and other stuff, but it was tough overall to figure out what to include in this list, just because pretty much every stylish or character action game has different genres mixed into it. But I think this falls into the category. It's a cel-shaded black and white action game where you're kind of on a game show, almost like The Running Man. But yeah, everything's in black and white apart from the blood when you kill them. So when you get the gruesome kills with what he uses on there, obviously a chainsaw, you get the nice contrast of the red blood against the black and white cel shading, which I thought was really cool looking. I like the goofy world and character acting. It's really fun. It's not that hardcore of an action game where you need to know all this precise like timing and a big move set, but there's a lot of environmental interaction, which is really fun. Like you can do a bunch of gruesome kills and all the various traps in the level. Like you can take like signposts and stab it through their head, and you get more like style points or whatever for doing more gruesome combos. You can see this came with like a little sticker of the caution sign of someone getting a caution sign stabbed through their head, which I always like that little extra. Disc looks pretty cool as well. It's got that silvery metallic disc, and look at that, an instruction manual. But yeah, it's very satisfying to do all the various kills in this. You can cut people in half with the chainsaw, you can stab them, lift them up, stuff like that. It's kind of short. There's not a whole lot to it, but what's there is very memorable. So I would highly recommend this one. It did get a sequel as well called Anarchy Reigns, although this is a lot different. This is more like a beat 'em up, in my opinion. It even has, I think it has online co-op as well, which probably isn't functional anymore. But it's got Jack from, yeah, you can see there he is, from Mad World right there. And this is pretty fun as well, but it just definitely doesn't hold a candle to this one. It's just way more unique and groundbreaking in my opinion. So that should be it. That is my top 10 character action or stylish action, whatever, action games, third-person action games that I enjoy. But yeah, you guys let me know what you would consider your favorite games in the genre. Maybe something I didn't mention on this list. And as usual, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I think it should help me out, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, just let me know what you think of the video in the comments down below, and I will see you guys on the next video. So peace out, everyone.